What's up, good people? Thanks for clicking. And before you run away, here we are all about mercy, good vibes, and much love. Today's videos are extra crazy. Watch till the end and leave your comments. Straight out of Africa! Let's dive in. Positive vibes only.
Y'all gotta hear this pastor breakdown on why you should not be praying for people or having people pray for you. This is a pastor breaking down the facts again on why you should not be praying for people or having people pray for you. This is the most logical breakdown too, and again, it's from a pastor. Tune in.
Prayer. You know, I was thinking about praying, and that's an interesting thing in and of itself. You know, when you're praying, who the heck is listening? You ever think about that? Who's listening? Is there somebody in the ceiling listening? You know, people pray, oh, God, do this. There's these guys on television. Oh, we're claiming this. Oh, my God. Now, who's listening? Now, where is this? Somebody behind the curtains or up in the attic or what? And then, of course, one of the interesting things that you see a lot on TV is you'll see these programs and they'll say, call in for prayer. And the prayer line is open. Now, in addition to that, what I see these folks on television saying, ask Jesus to come into your heart. Say, Jesus, come into your heart. Come into my heart. But you know, there's a funny thing. Because when I check the Bible, I just want to make sure these people are right. And I find out, to my amazement, that they're wrong. In John 16:23, Jesus says, and in that day you shall ask me for nothing. Now, why are you told as a Christian to ask Jesus to come into your heart when Jesus himself says, at that time you will ask me for nothing? Well, what's going on here? I mean, should you ask him or shouldn't you? He says don't ask him. The church says ask him. So who are you going to believe? Most people will follow the church. Jesus says, at that time you shall ask me for nothing. And then he says something else about prayer. He says in John 16:26 and 27 that I say not to you that I will pray for you. Isn't that interesting? Here's Jesus saying, I'm not going to pray for you. You go to the church, say, oh, will you pray for me? I say, yes, I'll pray for you. And the priest says, I'll pray for you. And the minister says, I'll pray for you.
Oh, what do you think about prayers? Is this guy saying something that's making sense to you or what? I would like to hear your thoughts on
Says,
this.
I'll pray for you in your Bible study. I'll pray for you. But you go up to Jesus and say, will you pray for me? He says, no way. No way. I'm not going to pray for you. What do you do with that? Why wouldn't Jesus pray for you and all these other people are going to pray for you? What's going on here? The point was that Jesus says the reason I'm not going to pray for you is because the Father himself loves you. In other words, you don't need... Excuse me. Drop the microphone. You don't need anybody to pray for you. You shouldn't have anybody to pray for. Because if you got people praying for you, that's stopping you from going directly to God who is within you. You see, the higher mind, that's really the part of you that is God. There is a part in you that is God. That's the higher consciousness. That's the Father. And if you go to somebody to pray for you, they're going to recite a lot of words, and that's going to keep you from going up into the higher place yourself. You don't need anybody to pray for you. If Jesus says he wouldn't pray for you, what are you going to somebody else for?
Exactly.
I mean, Jesus is saying go directly to God. And he says the kingdom is within you. That means God is within you. That means that if you will rise up into the higher consciousness, if you will set yourself into profound meditation and go up into the higher consciousness, you'll be delivered of the problem that you have. That's real. I think it's a great thing. Really is. And how do people that are these Bible scholars square with that? I mean, if you say you're supposed to ask Jesus to come into your heart, but yet Jesus himself says, don't ask me for anything. Now, who's right? I'm going to stick with Jesus. Don't ask him.
Facts.
What about praying? He says, I'm not going to pray for you. So if he's not going to pray for you, what the heck you having somebody that's lesser than him pray for you? I say, you don't need nobody to pray for you. And the reason is because Jesus was trying to turn your attention away from him. He was trying to turn your attention away from man. And he was trying to turn your attention inwardly so that you could go.
Oh, that's pretty interesting, man. Oh, this is Israel's flag. It has been removed by a crow, then another cat. And what is happening here? What's up with this flag? Is nature annoyed with this, or what do you think? Is this a sign from somewhere? Please share your thoughts on this. These guys, Israelis, are not joking about this issue. Oh, no, no, no. Look at these jets. Crazy. These guys are prepared for war, man. And you wonder why people should fight other people with such stuff. You see, if it's fighting, people in the past used to fight just for respect and it was like wrestling. You see? The person with muscles. But now this point where people are killing each other, it's very dangerous. This is not good. People should have mercy, love, you see, and live in peace and unity. No, you see, this guy is prepared to go and kill or shoot someone's father. Oh. And what about the person that will be shot, their children, or something like that? No, you see, it is not making sense. Humans should not be fighting like this. I think it's high time we combine our efforts as humans and love, we combine. Then now we search and now we start researching if there is a common enemy. Like now these things we have been hearing UFOs. Instead of fighting ourselves, we could start or think of another something. You see? What do you think about it? Share your thoughts about it. US moves carrier strike group closer to Israel after war declaration. Why? Why would they do that? Oh. Would it be that maybe it's for preparation of this war? I don't know. What do you think? You tell me. You know, these videos, we have to watch them together and you share your thoughts. You understand, we understand. You help each other to understand and see what's going on in the world. In the meanwhile, you share love. You see, hit the like button there and watch till the end. That's where you're watching from. Oh. That world was that. I don't wish this is to happen. No. We should think of now a new agenda of, you see, one world where we love each other, a world full of love. How great would that be, man? Very interesting. Oh. What?
Million people live under the ruthless regime of a terrorist organization we all know as Hamas. What we have been doing from the air over the last hours and actually an entire day is striking Hamas targets with great power and severity. We have been striking all of the different targets, the military targets belonging to Hamas. Now, you may have seen footage on TV or on social media, and you may see a building standing and then flashes and then the building collapses. And you say to yourself, well, that looks very much like a civilian building. What I want to tell you is that no, that isn't a civilian building. It is a legitimate military target. And why is that? Because Hamas locates all of their offices, headquarters, their research and development, and all of their other military assets, if it's above ground, they locate themselves in civilian buildings. And Hamas, being the cowards that they are, they never put signs on their buildings saying, "Welcome to the Hamas headquarters for planning terrorist activity in Israel," or "Welcome to the Research and Development Center for drones and projectiles." You will never see that because Hamas wants to disguise itself as civilians, and they use civilian buildings for military purposes, which makes it a legitimate military target. And those are the targets that we are striking with tremendous force over the last days, and those are the images that you're seeing coming out of Gaza. And we will continue to do that as time goes by and as we generate more and more intelligence about where Hamas are. I want to be totally clear. The IDF remains committed to the law of armed conflict, and we conduct ourselves according to it, despite the fact that we are furious, angry, frustrated, and appalled by the atrocities that Hamas has done against us. We still keep our morals and we still make sure that we fight according to the laws that we are committed to. And that's how we will continue, despite the difficult situation. Now I want to zoom out and speak about the other fronts because we haven't spoken about that on our previous updates, and I think it's important for all of you to be aware of what's going on. So there are two more active fronts that we are dealing with. One is the front with Lebanon. So I zoomed out from Gaza here in the south, and we traveled north along the beautiful country of Israel, and now I'm zooming in on the northern border. Rosh Hanikra in the west and the Mediterranean Sea, and then the border goes here all the way up to the Hermon mountain and the Syrian border on the other side. Lebanon being here, Israel being here, and these are the Golan Heights and the border with Syria. The Sea of Galilee, you can use that as a reference point. So in southern Lebanon, Hezbollah has already fired anti-tank missiles and rockets at our positions and soldiers, fortunately without any significant casualties, and there has already been an attempt of Islamic Jihad terrorists to infiltrate into Israel. That attempt was successfully thwarted by the IDF, sadly, at the cost of the life of a senior officer and 2 additional soldiers. But the attempt was stopped, and as of now, there are no attacks and no active combat events on the northern border. However, we remain very vigilant. We have deployed tens of thousands of additional units along the northern border, and I'm talking about infantry, special forces, armored forces, artillery, air force, and additional assets, of course, intelligence and logistics and everything that we need in order to keep those operations running. They are deployed along the northern border, and the message to Hezbollah is very clear that if they will try to attack, we are ready and we are vigilant along our border. Now, the third area of operations, or the third front that has opened and we find ourselves active in, again, by means of aggression from the other side. It is aggression from across our borders into Israel, from Gaza, from Lebanon, and now also from Syria. So back to the map. If we look at the area, then we spoke about the Lebanese border, Golan Heights, Syria on the east, and the Golan Heights here. Attacks, rockets were fired from Syria into Israel. We do not yet know if these rockets were fired by the Syrian armed forces, by any of the many Iranian militias that exist and are welcomed by the Syrian regime, or Hezbollah or any other faction. What we do know is that we retaliated fire towards the sources of fire, and currently the situation there is quiet. And let's hope that it remains in that way. Now, we'll zoom out and we'll speak about something that we haven't spoken about at all. And that is something that is happening in the Mediterranean. In the Eastern Mediterranean, an American fighter carrier is making its way, a whole battle group, a US battle group is making its way in the Eastern Mediterranean towards the Israeli and Lebanese coast. And the message coming out of that US Central Command battle group to Iran and to Hezbollah, to the Syrian regime, is that this battle group is here to make sure that the war against Hamas doesn't escalate to a regional war between Israel and many other entities. And let's hope that that message of deterrence is heard loud and clear in Tehran, in Beirut, and in Damascus. So the situation, as you can understand, is extremely sensitive. We are fighting along 3 fronts of our homeland. We have sustained extremely heavy casualties. 1,200 Israelis have been killed, sadly, and more than 2,700 have been wounded. This, however, will not deter us, and it will not weaken our resolve. We are focused, organized. We enjoy the full support of the population and the state of Israel, and I'm happy to say that we are also seeing, witnessing, and enjoying the full support of all of the democratic and free countries around the world. The shows of support from all around the world are very clear. Capitals are lit in Israeli colors. Statements by Parliament and Congress and legislators from around the world saying clearly that we stand by Israel and we stand by Israel's right to defend itself. And that is excellent. And we hope that remains that way even when the fighting will intensify and the scenes coming out of the Gaza Strip will be more difficult to understand and cope with. I thank you very much for watching. If you find this content useful, retweet it and share it to your friends on various platforms, and make sure that people who care about Israel and want the truth stay informed and get the information.
Now those are the highlights from inside. And before you take
Sometimes
sides,
it's a blessing when a person disappoints you. Because nobody likes to be disappointed, do we? But sometimes it's really a blessing when somebody disappoints you, because it forces you to have to trust something bigger than that person. Sometimes it's a blessing when somebody let you down, because God will never let you down.
This is insane. Like, bro, this is fucking wild, bro.
I've never expected to meet you at this place.
Bro, Trump is my favorite. I don't give a fuck what anybody. You can't say shit.